She was meant to be my slave. I want to marry her now," said the giant cowboy about the black woman. The dust swirled around the auction platform as Cora Mee Johnson stood with her chin raised. The trading post buzzed with men examining her like livestock. She kept her eyes forward while rough hands poked and prodded. Most buyers walked away after testing her arm strength. Boone Hardcastle towered above the crowd at 6 feet 8 inches. His weathered hat shadowed his face as he watched the proceedings. Something caught his attention when Cora glanced at the auction papers in the clerk's hand. Her eyes moved across the text with understanding. The auctioneer called for final bids. Boone raised his hand and won with a price that made others shake their heads. He approached the platform where Cora waited. She met his gaze without flinching. The wagon ride to Hardcastle Ranch revealed a property in decline. Fence posts leaned at odd angles. Cattle grazed in sparse groups across brown fields. The main house needed fresh paint and new shutters. Zeke Mathers emerged from the barn wiping his hands on a dirty rag. His gray beard couldn't hide his smirk when he saw Cora step down from the wagon. Zeke spat into the dirt. He looked Cora up and down with obvious skepticism. Boone ignored his ranch hand's expression and headed toward the house. A carriage approached from the main road, kicking up a cloud of dust. Elizabeth Grant stepped out wearing a pristine blue dress that seemed out of place on the struggling ranch. Her blonde hair was perfectly arranged despite the journey from town. Elizabeth's nose wrinkled as she surveyed Cora. She whispered something to Boone that made him nod reluctantly. Cora pretended not to notice the pointed stares and hushed conversation. Inside the ranch house, Elizabeth examined the cluttered desk covered with papers and ledgers. She picked up a bill and frowned at the amount owed. Cora caught sight of an addition error in the feed costs while carrying water past the desk. The mathematical mistake would cost the ranch $50 they couldn't afford. Cora hesitated, then quietly pointed to the numbers. Elizabeth's face reddened with indignation at the interruption. Boone dismissed Cora's observation with a wave. He assumed she couldn't possibly understand ranch finances. Elizabeth made cutting remarks about proper behavior and knowing one's place. That evening, Cora learned the ranch faced foreclosure within months. Cattle were disappearing. Bills kept arriving while income dropped. The bank had already extended the deadline twice out of respect for the Hardcastle family name. Neighboring ranchers circled like vultures waiting for the land to go up for sale. Zeke mentioned how Thaddeus Grimm had offered to buy sections at below-market prices. The ranch hands whispered about finding new jobs before winter arrived. Cora kept her observations to herself while serving dinner. She noticed patterns in the missing cattle reports and supply order discrepancies. Speaking up would bring punishment she couldn't afford to risk. The gate stood wide open again on Tuesday morning. Boone cursed under his breath as he counted the scattered cattle across 3 different pastures. 20 head had wandered onto Grimm's property during the night. Getting them back would require negotiation and likely payment. Zeke scratched his head while examining the gate latch. No wind could have blown it open. The metal showed scratches around the lock mechanism. Someone had deliberately released the cattle under cover of darkness. Cora noticed the pattern while hanging laundry behind the main house. Gates opened every few days, always the same sections of fence, always when certain ranch hands worked the night shift. She filed the information away knowing nobody would listen to her suspicions. The supply wagon arrived Thursday with double the usual order of feed grain. Boone stared at the invoice in confusion. He hadn't authorized the extra purchase. The merchant insisted the written order bore the Hardcastle signature, though the handwriting looked slightly different. Bills kept arriving for supplies nobody remembered requesting. Veterinary medicines for treatments never performed. Equipment repairs on tools that still sat broken in the barn. The ranch's credit account drained faster than water through cracked leather. Elizabeth visited Friday afternoon carrying news from town. She'd heard rumors about the ranch's financial troubles. Several prominent families expressed concern about Boone's ability to maintain his social standing. Her own father questioned whether their engagement remained practical. She suggested selling unnecessary assets to improve appearances. Her gaze fell on Cora scrubbing the kitchen floor. Boone should focus on salvaging what mattered most for their future together. The ranch hands could manage basic cleaning duties. Saturday brought the crisis that would change everything. Zeke discovered 6 cattle lying motionless in the south pasture. Their breathing came in labored gasps. White foam gathered around their mouths. The animals couldn't stand or eat. By evening 12 more cattle showed identical symptoms. Boone sent for the town veterinarian, who arrived Sunday morning with his medical bag. Dr. Patterson examined the sick animals and shook his head grimly. He'd never encountered this particular condition. The veterinarian tried standard treatments without success. Bloodletting failed to improve their condition. Herbal remedies produced no change. Dr. Patterson warned that the illness might spread to the entire herd within days. Cora watched from a distance as more cattle developed symptoms. She recognized the condition immediately from her years assisting Dr. Morrison. The animals suffered from alkaloid poisoning caused by contaminated feed. Simple treatment could save them all. The ranch hands moved the healthy cattle to separate pastures. Fear spread through the property as neighbors demanded quarantine measures. Thaddeus Grimm rode over with concerns about protecting his own livestock from whatever disease plagued the Hardcastle herd. Grimm offered to buy the healthy cattle at reduced prices before the sickness spread further. He suggested Boone cut his losses while some value remained. The generous neighbor would even help transport the animals to prevent community contamination. Boone paced the porch that evening calculating his remaining options. Losing the cattle meant certain bankruptcy. The bank wouldn't extend credit for a diseased herd. Elizabeth's father would never approve their marriage under these circumstances. Zeke found him staring at the sick animals in the moonlight. 2 more had died during the afternoon. The veterinarian planned to return Tuesday with stronger medicines, though he held little hope for success. Cora lay awake, listening to the cattle's labored breathing through her small window. She could end their suffering within hours using knowledge gained from Dr. Morrison's secret lessons. Speaking up meant risking severe punishment for overstepping boundaries. Monday morning brought worse news. 8 cattle had died overnight. The remaining sick animals grew weaker by the hour. Dr. Patterson admitted his treatments weren't working and suggested destroying the herd to prevent further spread. Elizabeth arrived with her father, who surveyed the dying cattle with obvious displeasure. He pulled Boone aside for a private conversation about practical decisions and family reputations. The engagement couldn't survive this level of financial ruin. Cora watched Boone's shoulders sag under the weight of impending disaster. Everything his family had built would disappear within days. The proud Hardcastle name would become synonymous with failure and poor judgment. She made her decision during the afternoon milking. 6 more cattle lay dying in the pasture, while others showed early symptoms. Boone sat on the porch steps with his head in his hands. Zeke muttered about finding work elsewhere before the ranch collapsed completely. The moment of truth arrived as sunset painted the sky orange and purple. Cora approached Boone with her heart pounding. She carried the evidence she'd gathered about the deliberate sabotage. More importantly, she carried knowledge that could save his dying cattle. Elizabeth emerged from the house at that exact moment. Her face twisted with outrage seeing Cora interrupt Boone's private contemplation. She demanded to know what business a house servant had bothering the ranch owner during his time of crisis. Cora stood her ground despite Elizabeth's harsh words. She met Boone's surprised gaze and spoke the words that would change everything. She knew what was killing his cattle, and she knew how to save them. Boone lifted his head from his hands and stared at Cora with disbelief. Elizabeth's face flushed crimson at the interruption. She stepped between them, demanding Cora return to her duties immediately. Cora held her ground despite the mounting tension. She explained the cattle suffered from alkaloid poisoning caused by contaminated feed. The condition was treatable if they acted quickly. More animals would die without proper intervention. Elizabeth scoffed at the absurd claim. She reminded Boone that the town veterinarian couldn't diagnose the illness. How could an uneducated servant possibly know better than a trained professional? Desperation drove Boone's decision. He asked Cora to explain her knowledge. She revealed her years of medical training under Dr. Samuel Morrison. The old doctor had secretly taught her to read medical texts and assist with both human and animal treatments. The memory swept Cora back to her previous life in Virginia. Dr. Morrison had purchased her as a child to help in his medical practice. Late nights were spent reading by candlelight as he taught her anatomy and disease treatment. She learned to mix medicines and diagnose conditions through careful observation. The doctor's patients included wealthy plantation owners and their prized livestock. Cora assisted with difficult births and treated injured horses worth more than most people's homes. Her small hands proved useful for delicate procedures, while her quick mind absorbed every lesson. Dr. Morrison defied state laws by educating her beyond basic servant tasks. He believed knowledge belonged to anyone capable of learning regardless of their circumstances. Their secret lessons continued for 15 years until his sudden death from heart failure. His relatives discovered the debt-ridden estate and sold everything including Cora. She hid her education knowing it would either be seen as threatening or valuable enough to exploit. The auction block became her fate despite years of medical training. Back in the present moment, Elizabeth demanded proof of these outrageous claims. Cora described the symptoms she'd observed and explained how alkaloid poisoning progressed through different stages. The cattle's white foam and labored breathing matched textbook cases perfectly. She identified the contaminated feed batch delivered 3 days earlier. Certain grasses produced toxic compounds when harvested at the wrong time or stored improperly. The supplier either made an error or deliberately provided poisoned grain. Boone studied Cora's confident demeanor as she outlined the treatment plan. Activated charcoal would absorb the toxins, while supportive care helped the animals recover. Simple ingredients available at the ranch could save his entire herd. Elizabeth protested violently against following advice from someone with no official credentials. The risk was too great. Boone should wait for Dr. Patterson to return with proper medicines from established suppliers. Another cow collapsed in the pasture as they argued. Time was running out for the affected animals. Boone made his choice and asked Cora to demonstrate her knowledge. Elizabeth stormed toward her carriage muttering about foolish decisions and ruined reputations. Cora gathered supplies while explaining each step of the treatment process. She mixed activated charcoal with water, creating a thick solution to counteract the poison. Her movements showed practiced confidence gained through years of medical experience. Zeke watched skeptically as Cora approached the first sick animal. She examined the cow's eyes and gums, checking for signs of circulation problems. Her gentle touch calmed the frightened beast while she administered the charcoal mixture. The treatment required careful timing and precise dosages. Too little would prove ineffective, while too much could cause additional complications. Cora calculated amounts based on each animal's weight and condition severity. She worked through the evening treating 14 cattle with various stages of poisoning. Boone and Zeke assisted by holding animals steady and preparing fresh mixtures. Her quiet instructions revealed deep understanding of veterinary medicine. By midnight, the sickest cattle showed improvement. Their breathing became less labored. The white foam around their mouths decreased. Several animals even attempted to stand and drink water. Cora's analytical mind processed other observations while treating the livestock. The contaminated feed had been delivered by Jake Henderson during his evening shift, the same ranch hand who worked nights when gates mysteriously opened. She examined the grain bag more carefully, finding evidence of deliberate tampering. Someone had mixed toxic plants with regular feed, then resealed the container. This wasn't accidental contamination, but calculated sabotage designed to destroy the herd. The pattern became clear as Cora connected recent incidents. Strategic sabotage, timed to cause maximum damage while appearing accidental. Someone wanted the ranch to fail and had systematically orchestrated each crisis. Dawn brought remarkable results from the overnight treatment. 13 of the 14 cattle were standing and attempting to graze. The most severely poisoned cow still struggled but showed signs of gradual improvement. Dr. Patterson arrived Tuesday morning expecting to find more dead animals. Instead, he discovered a recovering herd and exhausted humans who'd worked through the night. His amazement at the successful treatment quickly turned to professional curiosity. Cora explained her methods while the veterinarian examined the improved cattle. Dr. Patterson recognized her expertise despite his initial skepticism about unconventional treatment sources. He admitted his own failure to diagnose the alkaloid poisoning correctly. Boone watched this exchange with growing realization. Cora possessed knowledge and skills that surpassed many educated professionals. Her intelligence had been hidden beneath societal assumptions about her capabilities and proper role. The successful treatment proved her medical expertise beyond question. More importantly, her investigation revealed deliberate sabotage, threatening the ranch's survival. Someone had orchestrated a campaign to destroy everything the Hardcastle family had built. Cora spread the evidence across the kitchen table while Boone examined each piece. The tampered feed bag showed careful resealing after contamination. Gate scratches matched tools found in Jake Henderson's personal kit. Delivery receipts revealed a pattern of suspicious timing. She traced the connections between each incident over the past 3 months. Cattle disappeared on nights when Henderson worked alone. Supply orders doubled during his shifts at the main office. Equipment failures occurred after he'd been assigned maintenance duties. Boone studied the timeline Cora had constructed using ranch records and her own observations. The systematic nature of the sabotage became undeniable. Someone had paid Henderson to destroy the ranch from within while maintaining plausible deniability. Zeke entered the kitchen carrying Henderson's abandoned personal belongings. The ranch hand had disappeared during the night after seeing the cattle recover. His hasty departure left behind correspondence that revealed the larger conspiracy. Letters from Thaddeus Grimm outlined specific instructions for sabotaging ranch operations. Payment schedules rewarded Henderson for each successful incident. The goal was driving down property values before Grimm made his acquisition offer. Cora connected the financial records showing Grimm's deliberate strategy. He'd systematically targeted struggling ranches throughout the county using similar methods. Bribed employees created crises, while he positioned himself as the generous neighbor offering rescue purchases. The poisoned cattle represented the final phase designed to force immediate bankruptcy. Grimm had already prepared legal documents for emergency property acquisition. He'd planned to buy the Hardcastle Ranch for a fraction of its actual value within days. Boone's anger shifted from betrayal to admiration as he watched Cora piece together the conspiracy. Her analytical mind had uncovered a complex scheme that fooled everyone else, including himself. She'd saved not just his cattle but his entire legacy. He began seeing her differently during their investigation. Her intelligence commanded respect rather than surprise. Her strategic thinking surpassed his own business instincts. The woman he'd purchased as property had become his intellectual equal. Zeke experienced his own transformation while reviewing the evidence. His initial skepticism about Cora's capabilities crumbled in the face of her demonstrated expertise. Years of prejudice couldn't survive contact with undeniable competence. The grizzled ranch hand apologized for his previous dismissive attitude. He admitted his assumptions had been wrong about her intelligence and value to the ranch. Cora accepted his apology with grace while focusing on the larger problems they faced. Word spread through the community about the miraculous cattle recovery and Henderson's disappearance. Neighbors arrived seeking details about the mysterious illness and sudden cure. Dr. Patterson praised the innovative treatment while crediting Cora's medical knowledge. Some visitors reacted with surprise learning about Cora's education and analytical abilities. Others struggled to reconcile her demonstrated competence with their existing beliefs about social hierarchies. The successful investigation challenged comfortable assumptions throughout the region. Elizabeth returned Thursday afternoon, expecting to console Boone over his inevitable losses. Instead, she found a recovering ranch and renewed optimism about the future. Her carefully planned sympathy speech became irrelevant in the face of unexpected success. She listened with growing unease as Boone described Cora's role in solving the crisis. Elizabeth's discomfort intensified when he praised Cora's intelligence and strategic thinking. His admiring tone suggested dangerous shifts in their relationship dynamic. Boone announced his intention to make Cora a full partner in ranch operations. Her medical expertise could establish a veterinary practice serving the entire county. Her analytical skills would prevent future sabotage attempts while improving business efficiency. Elizabeth's mask began slipping as she processed this unexpected development. She'd counted on the ranch's failure to increase Boone's dependence on her family's wealth. Success complicated her carefully laid plans for controlling their marriage. Her objections grew more desperate as Boone outlined his partnership proposal. She reminded him about social expectations and community standards. People would never accept such an unusual business arrangement, regardless of practical benefits. Cora observed Elizabeth's increasingly frantic protests with new understanding. The woman's previous cruel comments hadn't stemmed from mere prejudice but from calculated malice. Elizabeth had actively wanted the ranch to fail for her own purposes. Boone's transformation accelerated as he recognized Elizabeth's true nature through Cora's perceptive observations. His fiancée's opposition to practical solutions revealed selfish motivations disguised as social concern. Her resistance to acknowledging Cora's contributions exposed deeper character flaws. Friday brought additional evidence supporting Cora's sabotage theory. Bank records showed unusual cash withdrawals from Grimm's account matching Henderson's suspected payment schedule. Several other ranch hands admitted receiving similar offers they'd fortunately declined. The sheriff arrived Saturday to investigate the conspiracy allegations. He interviewed witnesses and examined the physical evidence Cora had preserved. Her methodical documentation impressed the lawman who'd initially doubted her involvement in the investigation. Grimm arrived unexpectedly during the sheriff's visit, claiming he'd heard about recent troubles. His offer to purchase damaged property at emergency prices seemed generous until compared with the sabotage evidence. The timing revealed his true intentions clearly. Cora suggested gathering additional proof before making accusations that could backfire legally. She recommended patient investigation to build an unshakable case rather than rushing to confrontation. Her strategic approach impressed both the sheriff and Boone. Community tensions rose as news of the investigation spread. Some neighbors supported the Hardcastle family, while others questioned the dramatic accusations. Grimm's reputation as a successful businessman conflicted with the sabotage allegations. Boone found himself defending Cora's credibility to skeptical visitors. His passionate advocacy for her intelligence and analytical abilities surprised people familiar with their relationship's origins. The transformation in his attitude became impossible to ignore. Elizabeth realized her position was becoming untenable as Boone's respect for Cora grew daily. Her influence over him decreased, while another woman's importance expanded. The careful balance she'd maintained was shifting beyond her control. Sunday morning brought Boone's life-changing decision. He found Cora tending the recovered cattle in the south pasture. The animals grazed peacefully under her watchful care. Her gentle competence with the livestock reinforced his growing conviction. He approached carrying legal documents prepared by the town attorney. The papers would grant Cora immediate freedom, along with official partnership status in ranch operations. Her intelligence deserved recognition rather than continued bondage. Cora studied the documents with careful attention to every clause. Freedom had seemed impossible just days earlier. Now Boone offered not just liberation but genuine equality in business decisions. The transformation felt almost too dramatic to believe. Boone explained his deeper feelings had evolved beyond mere respect for her abilities. He discovered love growing from admiration of her character and strength. Their partnership could extend beyond business into marriage if she felt similar emotions. Elizabeth arrived unexpectedly during their private conversation. She'd come to discuss wedding plans and found Boone proposing to another woman. Her carefully constructed world collapsed in a single devastating moment. Her initial shock transformed into desperate pleading. She reminded Boone about their long engagement and her family's social position. Their union would restore his reputation, while her father's wealth could rebuild the ranch's finances. Boone gently but firmly ended their engagement. Elizabeth's reaction to recent crises had revealed fundamental incompatibility in their values. Her inability to recognize Cora's worth demonstrated a character flaw he couldn't overlook. Elizabeth's composure shattered as rejection became final. She accused Boone of temporary insanity caused by gratitude rather than genuine affection. No rational man would choose such an inappropriate partner over established social advantages. Her desperation triggered the confession that would expose everything. Elizabeth revealed her secret correspondence with Grimm about ranch operations. She provided information about cattle movements and financial vulnerabilities to help orchestrate the perfect acquisition opportunity. The shocking admission stunned both Boone and Cora into momentary silence. Elizabeth had actively participated in sabotaging the ranch while pretending to offer support. Her engagement had been calculated manipulation rather than authentic love. She explained her reasoning through increasingly frantic justification. Grimm had promised to buy the ranch, then hire Boone as manager while she controlled the real power through marriage. The plan would have given her everything she wanted without depending on Boone's competence. Elizabeth's involvement had made Henderson's sabotage more effective through insider information. She'd known about cattle locations and security schedules. Her pillow talk had provided strategic intelligence for each planned disaster. Cora listened to the confession with analytical detachment while processing the full scope of betrayal. Elizabeth's cruelty hadn't stemmed from social prejudice alone, but from active malice designed to destroy Boone's independence. The revelation completed Boone's transformation from confused gratitude to genuine partnership with Cora. Elizabeth's treachery highlighted Cora's loyalty by stark contrast. One woman had tried to destroy him, while the other had saved everything he valued. Elizabeth realized her confession had eliminated any remaining chance of reconciliation. She shifted tactics from pleading to threats about social consequences. The community would never accept Boone's inappropriate choice regardless of recent events. She promised to spread rumors about improper relationships and questionable business decisions. Her family's influence could destroy his reputation throughout the county. Other ranchers would refuse to deal with someone who violated social expectations so dramatically. Cora suggested documenting Elizabeth's confession for legal purposes rather than engaging in emotional arguments. Her practical approach impressed Boone while infuriating Elizabeth, who expected more dramatic reactions to her threats. The sheriff arrived Monday morning, responding to Boone's request for assistance with the expanded conspiracy. Elizabeth's involvement added complexity to the case against Grimm. Her testimony would be crucial for prosecution, while her social position complicated the investigation. Elizabeth initially refused to cooperate until facing charges as a co-conspirator. Her family's reputation couldn't survive criminal prosecution. Self-preservation finally overcame her desire for revenge against Boone and Cora. The town meeting Tuesday evening drew the largest crowd in recent memory. Boone presented evidence of the sabotage conspiracy, while the sheriff outlined criminal charges. Elizabeth's involvement shocked community members who'd respected her family for generations. Cora's role in uncovering the truth received public acknowledgement despite some residents' discomfort. Her intelligence and analytical abilities couldn't be denied even by those who preferred maintaining traditional social hierarchies. Several neighbors testified about similar approaches from Grimm's representatives. The pattern of targeting struggling ranches became clear as more victims shared their experiences. Cora's investigation had exposed a county-wide criminal enterprise. Grimm's arrest Wednesday morning vindicated Cora's methodical approach to gathering evidence. The case against him included multiple charges of conspiracy and fraud. Elizabeth faced lighter charges in exchange for her cooperation with prosecutors. The community's reaction to recent revelations remained mixed. Some praised Boone's courage in recognizing Cora's worth, while others criticized his violation of social norms. Traditional hierarchies don't collapse easily even when circumstances demand change. Boone used Thursday's town council meeting to address concerns about his decisions. He explained how prejudice had nearly cost him everything, while open-mindedness had saved his ranch. The practical results spoke louder than theoretical objections. Cora maintained dignified silence during public discussions about her future. She'd proven her capabilities through actions rather than arguments. The choice to accept Boone's marriage proposal remained private despite community speculation. Friday brought legal resolution as courts processed charges against the conspirators. Justice moved forward through proper channels rather than vigilante action. Cora's preference for systematic solutions had protected everyone involved from additional complications. The week's events had transformed multiple lives while challenging entrenched social assumptions throughout the community. Saturday morning arrived with crisp autumn air and unprecedented crowds gathering around the Hardcastle Ranch. Word had spread throughout 3 counties about the conspiracy trial and Boone's controversial decisions. Curiosity drew people from distant towns to witness history unfolding. Boone stood on his front porch wearing his finest suit, while Cora appeared beside him in a simple but elegant dress purchased from the town's best seamstress. Her dignified bearing commanded attention from the assembled crowd. Whispered conversations rippled through the gathering as people processed the unusual scene. The circuit judge had agreed to perform the ceremony despite social pressure to decline. Legal precedent supported their right to marry regardless of community objections. Justice required equal treatment under law even when personal feelings conflicted with professional duties. Cora's decision to accept Boone's proposal stemmed from genuine partnership rather than gratitude or limited options. She'd observed his complete transformation from owner to equal partner. Their shared values and mutual respect provided solid foundation for marriage. Her freedom papers had been filed with the county clerk, making her legal status absolutely clear. She chose marriage as a free woman exercising personal agency. The distinction mattered enormously to her sense of dignity and self-determination. Dr. Patterson stood as witness alongside several neighboring ranchers who'd supported Boone during recent crises. Their presence demonstrated community acceptance despite vocal opposition from traditional voices. Change required courage from multiple people working together. The ceremony proceeded with simple vows emphasizing partnership and mutual respect. Boone promised to value Cora's intelligence and independence. She committed to building their shared future through combined strengths and complementary abilities. Elizabeth watched from her family carriage positioned at the crowd's edge. Legal proceedings had resulted in probation rather than imprisonment due to her cooperation. Her social standing had suffered irreparable damage, while criminal charges destroyed her reputation permanently. Her father had withdrawn support after learning about her involvement in the conspiracy. The family's political ambitions couldn't survive association with criminal activity. Elizabeth faced exile from the society she'd tried so desperately to control. Zeke approached the newlyweds after the ceremony carrying a wedding gift he'd crafted in the ranch workshop. The hand-carved wooden sign read Hardcastle Veterinary Services, with space for both their names. His gesture symbolized complete acceptance of their partnership. The celebration continued with food and music provided by supportive neighbors. Several ranchers discussed bringing their livestock to Cora for medical treatment. Her reputation for diagnostic accuracy had spread quickly through professional networks. Sunday brought the first official patients to their newly established veterinary practice. A prize bull from the neighboring Morrison Ranch required treatment for a leg injury. Cora's gentle expertise impressed the owner, who'd initially felt skeptical about her qualifications. Word of her successful treatments traveled faster than wildfire through the ranching community. Economic necessity overcame social prejudice when valuable livestock needed expert care. Cora's medical knowledge generated income that silenced many critics through practical results. The ranch prospered under their combined management during the following months. Cora's analytical approach to breeding and nutrition improved livestock health dramatically. Boone's leadership skills coordinated their expanded operations while maintaining positive community relationships. Their success became undeniable as profits exceeded previous records. The veterinary practice drew clients from distant counties seeking Cora's expertise. Financial stability vindicated Boone's controversial decisions through measurable outcomes that critics couldn't dispute. Spring brought additional changes as they hired former slaves seeking employment and education opportunities. The Hardcastle Ranch became known for treating workers with dignity regardless of background. Progressive policies attracted skilled employees while setting regional examples. Cora established evening classes teaching reading and basic medical skills to interested workers. Her commitment to education honored Dr. Morrison's memory while expanding opportunities for others. Knowledge shared freely multiplied benefits throughout the entire community. Their marriage evolved into genuine partnership as shared challenges strengthened their bond. Mutual respect had grown into deep affection through daily collaboration. Love built on equality proved more durable than relationships based on traditional hierarchies. Community attitudes gradually shifted as undeniable success challenged entrenched prejudices. Some neighbors learned to judge character over background. Others maintained resistance while grudgingly acknowledging practical results of progressive policies. Grimm received a lengthy prison sentence for his conspiracy crimes. His property sales partially compensated victims of his schemes. Justice served through legal channels demonstrated the power of systematic evidence over vigilante solutions. The town's first integrated school opened 2 years later, with Cora serving on the planning committee. Her influence extended beyond veterinary medicine into educational reform. Progress accelerated when intelligent people gained platforms for positive change. Their first child arrived amid celebration from friends who'd witnessed their unlikely journey. The baby represented hope for a generation that might grow up with different assumptions about human worth. Change happened gradually through individual courage and persistent example. Boone and Cora continued building their legacy through demonstration rather than preaching. Their ranch became a model of partnership transcending traditional boundaries. Love proved possible when people recognized shared humanity beyond surface differences. And that is all to the story for now. Please let me know where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will create a story there. Consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. And if you enjoy our content, click this video on your screen. I promise you it's worth watching. See you tomorrow.